Hello, my beautiful lovers of the world. It's me, Queen Eimer, and it's only one day away. Okay, I'm so excited. I'm probably going to post this on Halloween, but that night I am going to have a Q&A. So I'm going to answer all your questions that you have given me in the comments down below. So be ready. If you want to comment down below, comment in my last videos, or I don't know, look at my merch, look at my Discord, look at my social media, which is going to be on the screen or down in the description below. You know that I have my past parts down there, so click them if you want to watch other ones before this one. Anyways, guys, let's get back into it. War. Draco, dear, what? Would you mind joining us? A voice, sweet, soft, echoed along the emptied corridor in the Malfoy Manor. Draco knew it was a matter relating to something important. The Dark Lord, perhaps? His mother always used this tone, an innocent-like voice filled with fear and angst, a tone that he could never forget since the day he got the mark. Draco scurried along the corridors to go to the drawing room, in which he saw his Aunt Beatrix, Greyback, his mother, and some unexpected guests. The Golden Trio. There was one in particular Draco was enticed with, Harry Potter. Potter was in the state wherein he looked like an utter mess, beat up even. Bellatrix was smiling evilly. Greyback stood there like he'd just won the lottery, and it finally hit him. Greyback had found Harry and brought him back here to give to the Dark Lord. He cleared his throat as he approached the crazy mess, trembling with fear like his mother was. Draco, tell me, is this Harry Potter? Bellatrix grinned widely as her mind crossed with the idea of pleasing the Dark Lord with the achievement of finally catching Potter. Draco kneeled to see his rambled face closer, his eyes still glimmering emeralds, his lips as soft as ever, and his figure quite flimsy. He assumed it was because of the amount of food, basically none, he had consumed over the past few months of collecting and destroying the Horcruxes. He moved his eyes over the other two Gryffindors who had looks in their eyes pleading for pity. His eyes went back to Harry's, examining it at last. Well? Bellatrix spat. I can't know for sure. Don't lie to me, Draco, she screamed desperately. I'm sorry, Aunt Bella. I really am not sure. Narcissa beamed. Perhaps she was relieved that Draco chose not to tell the truth. She knew that it was him. She knew that that was his son. She knew that her son was hopelessly in love with him. They called Narcissa he. They carried the three to the cells, hurting them in every possible way they could. Draco could only watch and flinch at every scream Harry administered. He sighed as he knew that Harry was gonna have a very, very rough time. The fear in Harry's eyes said it all. He wished he could just hug Harry and keep him safe from everything else, but it wasn't possible at all. Draco quickly apparated to the room of requirements as he was ordered to stop Harry from getting the datum Although that wasn't what he had in mind. He had arrived there accompanied by Boyle? I thought it was Goyle and something. Boyle and Blaze. The three already took their wands and aimed for where Harry and the others were at. Harry, Hermione, and Ron didn't notice the three until they ran right in front of them. A menacing face from which one of them except for a particular blonde who looked more scared and nervous. Harry slowly lowered his wand, and Hermione and Ron did the same. Why didn't you tell her? Harry flinched at the look of Draco's face. It was utterly covered in fear and tears. Bellatrix? You knew it was me. You didn't say anything. Harry lowered his wand, Draco lowered his wand, his vision blurry. From the cloud that his tears formed, it was finally time. He scurried over to Harry until they were inches away from each other. Normally, Harry would just push the blonde away, but for the same reason, this felt right. Before he knew it, their lips were smashed together in such a lustful yet tender, soft kiss. Draco's hands were crawled its way to Harry's neck, hair, whilst Harry's found its way lingering at Harry's spine and hips. The kiss went from soft to something quite rough and filled with love. The two pulled apart, still holding each other. Does that answer your question? Draco smirked. Harry's face gotten flushed with red, but before Draco could apologize for the sudden kiss, a pair of lips crashed into his once again. The familiar yet undiscovered feeling overcame his body as their hands went anywhere they could put it. They forgot that they were actually with their friends until they all simultaneously oh my gosh. I can't say words. Oh my gosh. Okay. All at once, coughed. They pulled away, blushing red as everyone giggled at the cute image. Now, let's fight this war. Harry got a hold of the blonde's hand and ran out into the mess that is Hogwarts. Dang. Shady. Just throw shade on Hogwarts there, boys. Just throw shade on Hogwarts. Wow. I'm kidding. Just before the dragons. Oh, gosh. Harry walked through the corridor full of students, wavering each one. He took a few steps outside, eyeing the courtyard to find Cedric. He planned on giving Cedric the first task, to gain favors in the future. Harry's trip was rudely interrupted by a familiar voice. He rolled his eyes at the realization. Why so tense, Potter? Draco practically shouted because he was on top of the tree. Harry flinched when the blonde finally came down from the tree, expecting a fair few mocks and taunts. Draco stepped an inch closer to Harry and spoke to him face to face. My father and I have a bet, you see. Before Draco could finish his little ramble about his beloved father, Harry placed a foot in front of him, glaring towards Draco. I don't give a damn about your father. what your father thinks, Malfoy. Harry had stepped closer to Draco. He had enough of Lucius's opinion. All he wanted was a little sympathy and humbleness from the Malfoys, causing Harry to feel a wave of rage. He's vile, cruel, and you're just pathetic. A hand had arrived at Harry's chest, pressing as hard as it could. Draco fell, his back slamming against the tree. He had just been on, his hips hitting all the sharp twigs that laid on the ground. He brought a hand up his head while watching Harry stomp away. It was finally time for the four to fight a dragon, each one with a different dragon. Harry was sweating and shaking with fear. It also didn't help that he was gonna be off fighting the most dangerous dragon from the other three. He paced all around the tent, thinking of how horrible this could all end. A rustle had come from very back of the tent. Harry came to investigate. A voice, sweet yet filled the air, echoed along Harry's ears. "Potter, is that you?" The later person said through the thin sheet of the tent. "Yeah. What are you doing here, Malfoy?" Harry was supposed to be angry, yet his voice seemed to be the only thing calming him down. I'm scared for you, Potter." "Why would you be?" The raven-haired boy was perplexed. Why had Draco suddenly cared about him? "Well, you didn't let me finish a while ago. My father and I had a bet if I could ask you out just before this tournament ends. I told him that I liked you the day before, and he said I couldn't last 10 minutes with you. I disagree. You wouldn't last 5. Harry giggled. They both had the urge to hug each other as tight as they could. And so they did. A warm, calming feeling waved through the two, and a smile took place in each other's faces. They wanted to be like this forever, if it was even possible. A sudden flash caught Harry's point of view, which caused him to instinctively let go of Draco's embrace. Harry had scoffed at the image of Rita Skeeter rummaging through their lives yet again. Although the other had a brilliant idea. Draco had formed a smirk on his face. "Snap this for me. Why don't ya?" Rita tilted her head to the side in confusion until her eyes widened at her view, growing more uncomfortable by the second. The blonde had smashed his lips against Harry's, continuing a hot, rough make-out session. Though Harry wasn't shocked, he finally got comfortable and kissed him back. Their hands crawled through every inch of their other's body. Draco had even squeezed Harry's ass. Rita finally stepped out, leaving her a very well-taught lesson from the two boys. They pulled apart, still in each other's embrace, giggling at the act they did for Rita. "Why didn't you tell me then?" Harry asked. "Well, it was bloody obvious. I climbed a tree for Merlin's sake." They both chuckled at Draco's sarcastic tone. Harry flinched because he was being called for a meeting with the other three now. His glassy eyes spoke fear and nervousness. Draco had noticed. "You'd be fine, Harry, I promise. I smile. A smile formed onto Harry's face whilst Draco kissed his forehead. Both lovingly held each other just before Harry needed to go. Aww, that's so sweet. Now I don't need the Watchmen series. Just please get out of here. I'm sorry. This is what happens to me on my computer. On my phone. Whatever you want to call it. How far in? Oh, we're good. Improving in gardens. Improvising in gardens. I cannot read. Oi! Draco spat. He lounged his bag onto whoever was next to him. He assumed it was Crab. As he adjusted his robes, he inched closer by the second, looking down at his beautiful small figure and his glowing emerald eyes. How his lips were so lush and pink. He bit his bottom lip and painted a wide smirk at the raven-haired boy. He grew distracted of Harry's features until Pansy scoffed. His heart beated faster and faster until unable to think of something to say. Dementor! A sigh of relief flushed over him and scurried along to the back of his friends, mocking a Dementor. Hermione scoffed, and her grip on Harry grew tighter as she rolled her eyes at the blonde. She pushed Harry roughly so they could move faster. She wanted to be as far from Draco as possible. Draco weaved through the Forbidden Forest. This is just Drarry. Okay, this is just Drarry. Making sure. A glorious garden filled the flowers that he and Harry loved were scattered around the lovely grass. He sat on the grass and played with the flowers, putting the daisies in his hair. Wait, what? A shining light had caught Draco's eyes, and he beamed, approaching the area where the light had come from. A glorious garden filled with flowers that he and Harry loved were scattered around the lovely grass. He sat on the grass and played with the flowers, putting the daisy on his ear whilst he waited for his boyfriend. A cough came from the entrance of the garden, and Draco immediately turned around to see Harry, who was stunned as always. Draco jumped onto Harry, giving him a giant bear hug, which almost choked him. Dragon, I swear to Merlin, I'll die because of you rather than Voldemort. Harry managed to speak. Sorry, I just missed you so much. Draco pouted. Harry saw the flower on Draco's ear and made him 10 times more adorable. Harry couldn't stay mad at his cute little face. I missed you too. He pecked the blonde and dragged him along to his favorite spot in the garden. It had a perfect view of the sky, and it also made lying down on the soil more comfortable, if that's even possible. They laid down on the grass, still hand in hand, and talked until it was almost curfew. Great improvise, Harry chuckled sarcastically as Draco rolled his eyes. Maybe, if you weren't so hot, I would have been amazing. Wait, let me re-say that. Maybe if you weren't so hot, I would have been amazing, Draco said with a 3-year-old voice. The two giggled as they stared at the sunset, hands locked together. Who knew enemies could create such beautiful things? I ship it too hard. Oh, good grief. I'm sorry. I haven't. Oh, that feels so much better. Sorry, I have stress in my knuckles sometimes, all over my body. Draco went rushing for the wall as it was already about to close. His trolley was filled with load of trunks, which were messily piled on top of each other. He finally rushed to the other side. His legs were wobbly, and he looked down at his watch to see if he was gonna make it. 10:59. Crap! He sprinted as fast as he possibly could until he reached the shutting doors of the Hogwarts Express, somehow managing to squeeze himself and his trolley in. He wandered around the long corridors of the train, trying to find a compartment that he could possibly fit in. After a few minutes, he spotted a compartment with a boy with glasses and baggy clothes, sitting down near the window, fiddling with the arm holders. It was quite visible that he was nervous, so Draco stepped in, deciding that the other boy was new. Nervous, The boy raised his head and locked eyes with Draco. He let out a nervous chuckle and said, "Yeah." "Do you mind?" Draco motioned to the seat and across from the boy, and the boy shook his head. Draco muttered a faint thanks, whilst arranging his trunk on the shelves above. He took a seat opposite from the boy. Silence wafted throughout the air for a few minutes. It felt like ages, though. He decided to break the awkward tension and speak. "I'm Malfoy, by the way. Draco Malfoy." He struck his hand out for a shake, and the other boy smiled. "Harry Potter," he said, whilst reaching out to take Draco's hand and shake it. A small chuckle fell from the two's lips. "Are you new? I believe I haven't seen you before, not that I remember." "No, actually, I'm in 4th year this year." Draco furrowed his brow because he was in the same year as him, though he seemed like a complete stranger to him. They continued chatting throughout the whole train ride to get to know more about each other. Not long after the train halted and students began crowding by the doors, the two put their robes on and headed outside, where there were fewer people bumping to each other. Harry spotted Hermione and Ron and ran up to them, giving them a huge giant bear hug. "Oi, I missed you guys," said Harry, and he was practically bouncing all around in excitement. He didn't get to see them on the train because prefects had separate compartments. "We've missed you too. Sorry, we had to leave you on the train." "It's all right. I've met someone on the train. Actually, he's really friendly and sweet." He motioned for Draco to come next to him. Hermione and Ron widened their eyes and looked at each other worriedly. "Malfoy? Did you guys meet already? Or no, I've just read about their family before." Hermione whipped a fast excuse, earning a sigh of relief from Ron. Harry nodded and continued to walk to the gates with the three other friends. He saw Draco trailing behind him, but far enough so that Draco couldn't hear him. "Moiny, he's actually kind of cute." Hermione just almost choked and practically shouted, "What?" causing Draco and Ron to look at her with furrowed eyebrows. She covered her mouth and immediately from embarrassment, whilst the other three just laughed at her, and soon Hermione joined as well. It had been a few days after the train ride, and Draco and Harry were glued to the hip. They were always together when walking in between classes, studying, and sometimes Draco could even sneak into the Gryffindor dorm rooms, and vice versa. Hermione and Ron grew really anxious about the two getting really close to each other, afraid that it might happen again. Harry kept talking about Draco and to Hermione, and Draco kept talking about Harry to Ron. It drove the two absolutely mad until they elected to finally just tell Harry and Draco. Malfoy, Harry, could we have a word with you, please? The two approached Hermione and Ron with confused faces. Ron signaled them to sit down at the couch opposite them. So they did. So there's this thing. Ron was cut off. Okay, Harry, Malfoy. Harry, Malfoy likes you. Malfoy, Harry likes you. Hermione almost immediately. She muttered a soft sorry to Ron for interrupting him, and he nodded in return. The other two, however, widened their eyes, and reddish pinky colors painted their cheeks. And that wasn't even it. Now, before I was so rudely interrupted, he looked over to Hermione, who had a red all over her face, and he chuckled. The catch is that you do like each other, and you do like each other, and you do again, and again. The other two tilted their heads in confusion. He means that you've met before, very similar to the train situation. You've fallen in love before, you've been hurt before, and we're afraid that it'll happen again. If you're wondering how both of you obliterated the memory of each other because of how hurt you've been. Numerous times, actually. Draco's dropped his jaw, and Harry did the same. But how is that possible? The Gryffindor muttered. That we keep on falling for each other? That's when it finally hit Hermione. Merlin, why were they so oblivious before? It's because we're meant to be together no matter what happened. Draco cut her off whilst staring at Harry's beautiful emerald eyes. Before anything was said, Harry placed his hands on Draco's neck and pulled him into a sweet, soft kiss. Draco smiled into the kiss and roamed his hands on Harry's back, which caused him to arc his spine. Before it accelerated to anything else, they pulled away and looked lovingly at each other's eyes. Promise me you won't erase me from your memory again, Ferret. As long as you promise me too, Scarhead. Why don't you just say Scarface? That's from a movie. Not saying what movie. If you get it, comment down below. We all chuckled and both nodded their heads to each other. A smile was painted on each other on each one of their faces as Draco smashed his lips once again into Harry's. Wow. Wow, that's deep. Okay, guys, I have to say goodbye. But be happy, be healthy, and always be loving. Give my subscribe button some love. And I'll see you tonight. Please keep on updated. Do you want me to be in a live stream? Comment down below as soon as possible. Love you guys so much.